Testing, testing. Hi, how are you? I genuinely don't know how to start today. Um, right now I'm in the middle, not in the middle, I'm like this close to the end of a fantasy book, and I didn't expect for it to be ending the way that it's ending right now. Like, genuinely, if my eyes look glazed, it's because I thought this would be like a fun, a little spicy romantasy. And now I'm almost tearing up. Okay. So, yeah, that's a great start for this video. I'm sorry. I'm gonna finish the book afterwards though. And it's all gonna be fine. We're all gonna feel great. We're all gonna be doing great. Now that that's out of the way, hi! Hello! Welcome to this video. Right now it's pretty much the middle of June, so we're like almost halfway through the year, not fully yet, but I have read already like, I don't know, 50, 55 books maybe. I'm not sure because I have a lot of uni stuff. I don't know why I just keep reading. It's probably just procrastination. But yeah, today we're just gonna be doing like a mid-year check-in, I guess. I kind of want to talk about some books that I liked, some books that I didn't like, just overall books that I'm intrigued for the second half of the year. I don't know. I'm just here to chat with you. So now maybe let's start with talking about the best and worst books I've read so far this year. To be honest, I didn't actually really have that many bad books, but I also feel like I've gotten better at DNFing because before I would always force myself through books because I just wanted to know why people liked it, and I was just like, maybe I'm going to get there. Maybe it's going to get there at some point. But it usually didn't. And I was just forcing myself so much to get through these books just for the sake of having read them and knowing them. And I think I've gotten a lot better at that. So when I start a book and I just don't like it, I don't read it. And I'm very proud of that actually. But I actually looked into my list before this, and my lowest rated books, I guess, are two books that I gave 3 stars. And everything else is 3.5 and up. So to me, 3 stars is great. A lot of people say that 3 stars is like not that great, but to me, it's like the half point. So it's literally, I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it, you know? That's why it's not 4 or 5 stars, but still I enjoyed it. Like, I liked it. Or I'm just like indifferent about it. So I'm like, sure, I guess. So far it's been good. Like, even 3 stars, I don't think I gave that many. Like, it's mostly 3.5 and up, which is shocking, honestly. So, like I said, 3 stars usually means that I liked it. I just didn't love it. So that's crazy. Like, actually, so far, there haven't been any bad books this year for me. I'm so happy about that. Like, that's crazy, honestly. Okay, so let's start genuinely with the best books. Because to me, high fantasy has been the best for me this year, honestly. So I started to get into my Brandon Sanderson journey this year, and my favorite so far is Mistborn. Definitely like the series overall. It was so good. I was so happy while reading it because I hadn't read a lot of great high fantasy lately. So genuinely, this year has been great for me considering high fantasy series or like just fantasy series overall. Like, honestly amazing. So yeah, Mistborn. I really enjoyed this series. It was so good. I thought the magic system was so interesting, and now that I've read more Sanderson books, I just feel like overall his magic systems are so different, like nothing I've ever read. And I like it so much. So I don't know, I just really enjoy his magic systems and the way he just creates things that I have personally never seen before. I definitely want to read the Stormlight Archive. That's what it's called, right? I think I want to read that next. So I'm very intrigued. And I kind of want a second book of Warbreaker because I want more with this magic system. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. This is not a Sanderson video, but yeah, that's Mistborn. I loved it so much. I think it's a great point to start getting into Sanderson, I guess, if you want to start with like a full series. So, yeah, I loved that one. Now on to another series that I really loved, and I don't know why I haven't read it earlier. because I personally love V. Schwab. Vicious is like one of my favorite books I've ever read, to be honest. I think it's so good. So this year I read the Shades of Magic series by V. Schwab. And I feel like I just have the exact same things to say, like I did with Mistborn. Like, I just think the magic system, overall, just the world is so interesting. And I just had so much fun getting into that story. I don't know, it was just so interesting, so different. I hadn't really read anything like it before, and I really enjoyed it. Although with this one, I gotta say, the world is basically like four different Londons, so like different dimensions, and every London is different. So some have magic, some don't. In some, magic has corrupted the world, in others, like there's no magic at all, like I said. So I thought that was such an interesting way to make a world, but then we ended up not going to the worlds, the different ones, that much. So that was kind of sad for me because I just thought the whole concept was so cool. But then we ended up mostly hanging out in one of the worlds. So that's one part, but I'm pretty sure there's a sequel series coming. I think the first one is out already. So maybe we're gonna get a little bit more into that there. I don't know. But yeah, I really liked the series as well. It was so interesting, so different. But if you might be a little bit scared to get into like big book series like these, if you want to start getting into fantasy, I also have another surprise book that I didn't really expect to be interesting. And that's actually a short story, and it's called The Six Deaths of a Saint. Of the Saint? Yeah. The Six Deaths of the Saint. And it's a short story, so I think it's maybe 30 pages. It's really short, not that long. So I pretty much finished it in one sitting. And when I tell you, this felt like a 300-page fantasy story. But for some reason, the author managed to put it into 30 pages. It was so good. I had so much fun, and I'm definitely going to reread it at some point because I feel like there is so much that you can. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but because I don't want to say anything because it's only 30 pages, obviously. But there's just so much happening that I feel like it would be so interesting to read it knowing what you know now. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I'm definitely going to reread it. Then also another one, like I said, if you want to start getting into Sanderson, but maybe you don't want to start with a big series. The first book I actually read of his this year was Tress of the Emerald Sea, and it's a standalone. And in this book, we follow this girl Tress, and her boyfriend has been taken away by an evil sorceress. And so Tress, who has never left her cute little island with her 30 people on there, she gets onto a pirate ship, I'm pretty sure, and wants to rescue him. But are the pirates nice, or do they actually want to kill us? And are we gonna find him? You know, that's the question. And I really like this one. I gotta say, with this one, it felt a little bit more like vibey because I very much enjoy like vibey books where the plot isn't like flying, like it's all actually happening rather slower, and we're just like going with the flow through the story. I don't know. And it's a little bit more like, I wouldn't say a lot more character based, but more just like we're hanging out with these people and it's just fun. And then there's just also this fantasy adventure, but it's not like the big plot focus. You know, if you're very strongly into like big fantasy, then read Mistborn. Now, another one I read this year, which is no surprise for me at all, Tales from the Cafe, the second book in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. I made a whole video about it. I don't think I have to get too deep into it, but I cried in public while reading it. I really liked it. I like the idea of the plot. I will be reading every other book that's gonna come out in this series, even if it's just the exact same all over again. I don't care. I'm enjoying it and I like it. Also, it's another shorter one, so yeah, it's just easier to get through, I guess. Now, one more in this category. I didn't even put a category. Anyways, one more that I want to talk about here before I get on to the other ones is called Piranesi. Piranesi. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite like the other ones, but I did enjoy it a lot. I liked it very much. And yeah, I would say with this, it's not the same, maybe a little bit similar to Tress. Like, if you don't enjoy random books, this one is very much no plot, just vibes. I mean, there is a little bit of a plot, but it's mostly vibes. And if you don't like the vibes, I don't think that's for you. So yeah, I liked it. I didn't like it as much as the other ones, but I also think that it was just like pushed up too much. I don't know how to say it, but everything I've heard about this book is that it's the best book everyone's ever read. Everyone's like, I wish I could erase my mind, read this for the first time again. It was so, so good. So maybe my expectations were just too high because I did enjoy it. It was good, but it was just not mind blowing, world changing good like I have heard from other people. So maybe that's that. Now one more that's definitely one of my favorites, but it didn't fit in the genre. Everything else so far was more fantasy. Now for a romance book, even though I don't know if it's a romance book because anyways, let's talk about it. It's called How to Hide in Plain Sight. Technically, it's a romance book, but if you don't enjoy reading about mental illnesses and mental health, this is not for you. Because the main character is struggling with OCD, and I would say the book is very much catered towards people that care about and know about OCD, because I've heard people being confused by it and not getting it, and mostly the reason was just that they probably didn't really know anything about OCD, because I personally thought this book was very relatable in a stressful way. Also great, but also stressful. So like I would say this book fucked me up in the best way. I really enjoyed it, but I did cry. I bawled. I actually started it last year, but then I stopped reading it for like a half a year because I just couldn't do it, and then I finished it this year. So yeah, that's that. Now on to my next category, I guess, which is books that were surprisingly good, or like just overall my biggest surprise. Like I just didn't expect what was gonna happen. Now for some other fantasy books, I guess. First one is Gideon the Ninth, or just overall the Locked Tomb series. Because I gotta be honest, I actually didn't enjoy Gideon the Ninth as much as the other ones. I think maybe, I don't know. I really like Gideon, so I don't know what that's about. I really like Nona. Maybe that's it. I enjoyed the first two books in the series. I would say a similar amount, and I did like maybe the first one because Gideon is just so funny. But I really enjoyed Nona as well. So this book series is so random to me. Like, I don't know, I started it maybe 2 or 3 years ago before, and I just couldn't get through it for some reason. But then I decided this is the year to try again. And I was surprised because it was genuinely so good. So I don't know. And I think I actually started it not just once, like a few times maybe. And I just couldn't keep reading. I don't know why, it just wasn't gripping me. Totally changed this time. I was so intrigued. I do have to say it's very confusing. So at the beginning, I think that's probably why I stopped reading it the last times, because I usually started it while I had like a lot of stuff in my mind, a lot of stuff to do, and so it just really wasn't the right time to read these books, which also makes no sense because I think this time I read it in exam season, so I don't even know, okay? But I really enjoyed it this time. So if you like to be very confused, but also have like the funniest main character, read Gideon the Ninth. Then another one that I don't know if I was surprised by. I think I was surprised by it. And it's called Book of Night, which is by Holly Black. I hope. I don't know. Sometimes my brain is just a little bit okay. So yeah, Book of Night. I'm pretty sure it's by Holly Black. I can't look it up right now because everything is, I don't know, so far away. So if you don't know, she also wrote the Cruel Prince series, and I actually very much enjoyed it. Like, I think it was just a good fantasy series, and it's about fae and the typical like fantasy stuff, I guess. So what surprised me with this one, I think, was also just the world. Like, the world was so interesting. It was also very different from what I've read before. So in this world we have shadows. I mean, everyone has shadows. But in this world, the shadows can like move on their own and are technically like their own creature, being, whatever. Like, for example, like I just said, sometimes your shadow, even if you look like a human, your shadow can be a creature or something. And people sell their shadows, and people buy special shadows, like I said, special monsters, for example, because they can then fight people and stuff. I feel like I'm explaining this very terribly, but I also don't really remember because I read it in January, I think, maybe. Maybe it was March, I don't know. It was a while ago for me, okay? And I just thought that was so interesting. Like, this felt like a darker Peter Pan vibe. And I really liked it. I thought that was such an interesting, I don't know, just world building that I hadn't really seen before. And actually, the second book is coming out this year. I'm gonna talk about that later though, but I'm excited. Okay, now onto the last one that's in like the surprisingly good category, which is Daydream. So I don't really read that much romance books, to be honest. My genre is just fantasy, has always been fantasy. I just love it. But I don't know, this month I've decided to dabble a little bit in romance books. I don't know, because I was intrigued and I actually like rom-coms a lot, so I thought I kind of want to, like, why wouldn't I like romance books? And so I read a few different ones, but this one was such a surprise because the other ones I would say were similar, like generic romance books, I guess. And this one was part of a series that is like the typical romance book, in my opinion. So the first book in the series is Icebreaker. You probably know it because it's very popular. And this one surprised me so much because it was completely different, which is maybe why I think some people didn't like it. Because obviously, if you read Icebreaker and you like that, this one's not gonna be for you, probably, because it's not really much spice in there, or at least not until like the very end. And it's mostly about the mental health of the two main characters and how they struggle with it and realize that maybe they have to work it out alone, work on themselves before they can be together, and how that conflicts with their feelings because they want to be together, they love each other. So I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was very sad, very emotional, but also great and very sweet. I loved the main couple. I loved the main male protagonist. I would say he's probably my favorite new book boyfriend, I guess. I don't really like that word, but like, I love him. Okay? So yeah, that's that for the biggest surprises. Like I said, I didn't really have any bad books, I would say, but I do have to say I have a how would I call this? Most anticipated, or like most, like I've been wanting to read them for a while and hope they would be good, and I just didn't love them as much as I would have liked. maybe maybe that's, yeah, that's how we're gonna call this category, I guess. But I also don't really have many books in here. So the first one, and I actually wouldn't even put it in here. Like, I just put it here because I kind of wanted to talk about it, which is Divine Rivals. And I gotta be honest, I feel like this is not even, like, it actually doesn't even belong here. I just wanted to talk about it because I just went into it with the completely wrong imagination of what it was about. And so I think that very much, very, very, very much changed how I looked at the book. And I just had such different expectations that just weren't met because it just wasn't the type of book that I was expecting, which is fine. So I feel like I might have to reread it again just to like see how it would feel like knowing now that I know what it's about, because I think it was a good book, but I kind of thought it would be something completely different. So all I knew, this is also very much my fault because I like to go into my books knowing like almost completely nothing. So it's obviously my own fault, and I know that. I'm taking accountability. But I personally thought before that the book was gonna be about two rivals, obviously, that work at like where were they working again? Like, they were journalists or something, and they were working towards the same job, so they were rivals. And that they have magic typewriters and they can send each other messages through that. And that's literally all I knew. So I expected it to be just like a typical romance book, I guess. It turned out to be fantasy. But also not really, because the fantasy parts we don't really talk about them much. And so when they get like sprinkled in there, every time it was a jump scare to me. Because the book overall takes place like technically in a fantasy world, but it feels very much like World War II. I would say it feels like it's like a World War II romance book, you know, these typical one. Yeah, that's how it felt like to me very much. And so the fantasy would just always come very much as a jump scare for me, because they were just hanging out using their typewriters. It was very, like I said, 30s maybe, I don't know. And then suddenly there would be like a dragon flying over our heads, and I would just be like, wait, what? And it didn't happen that often, so you wouldn't really get used to it. So anytime there was again a mention of fantasy, it was another jump scare for me again. I don't know. So I didn't really enjoy that. What I also don't like, and this is a spoiler, so I'm just gonna tell you here, I'm gonna put something so you know where to get back into it if you still want to read it. So, spoiler warning, I'm gonna talk about it now. I don't like that everyone loves this love interest, because a lot of people are like, this is the perfect man, he's so great. He has been lying to her this whole time, and I feel like we brushed over that so much because we're at war. And it's like, of course, war is more important, but also this man has known your identity, and basically, this man has been a fraud the whole time. Like, he has been lying to you about his identity the whole time, and you have been telling him, I'm saying you like were her, she has been telling him like very personal things, not knowing that it's him. And that's so fucked up, and we just don't care about that. Like, when she finds out, she's just like a little bit pissed for like 5 minutes, and then we don't care anymore because there's bigger stuff. And I kind of get it, like I said, we're at war, but I don't know, I just didn't enjoy that we just glossed over that completely. I kind of want to read the second one, but I don't know. I feel like the second one is going to lean more into the fantasy, and I actually really liked that this book wasn't as much fantasy. Like I said, I really wanted this to be like 1920s, 30s romance book, I guess. And so I just don't think I'm gonna enjoy the fantasy aspect, just because it just, in my opinion, it just doesn't fit into this world. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know why. And also, I feel like it's gonna be the same plot again. Because now he doesn't remember her, and now basically she's him, because then I'm guessing they're gonna type to each other again in the next book. And he doesn't know who she is, but she probably knows it's him. So it's literally the same, but the roles are reversed, and I don't care. I already read that. So I don't know how to feel about that. But yeah, those were my thoughts on that book, and I just really needed to talk about them. So that's why I put it into this category. But now let's get to the book. That's the reason why I actually made the category. Basically, just for this one book. So in case you have forgotten, the category is most anticipated, wanted to read for a while and hoped it would be good, but it was like, yeah. And the book is Vengeful. Like I said before, Vicious, one of my favorite books. I love it so much. It's so good. And that is why I have not read Vengeful yet, because I have been scared. Because I was like, how is anything gonna be as good as Vicious? Like, how is that going to be possible to get to this level again with another book, with a second book? So I wasn't surprised that I didn't love it, but still, I don't know. I still think it could have been way better. I personally didn't really like it as much. I don't know. Vicious was so good to me, and Vengeful just felt like fan fiction of that. I don't know why, but it just didn't feel the same. I don't know. And I think it's mostly because we had so many new characters that I personally did not give a shit about. So anytime we were with them, which was a lot of the time since there were many, anytime we were with them, I would just be thinking, I want to be back with Victor and Eli. So yeah, that's my thought on Vengeful. Now to a more fun category again, which is new releases from this year that I've already read and loved. To be honest, I haven't read that many. So, which ones have I read yet? But so far, actually, there's only one book in this category, which is the third Emily Wilde book, Emily Wilde and the Compendium of Lost Tales, I think it's called. Um, that came out in February, I think, and I read it and I loved it. It was great. I just love all of these books. It was a great ending. I had a lot of fun. So yeah. And that's all for this category, because now we're talking about the new releases that have let me down. This might not be fun for some people to hear, but I did not like Sunrise on the Reaping. I just didn't like it. I, again, felt like it was fan fiction, basically. But with this one, it was worse than like with the Schwab second book, because Suzanne already wrote so many good books in this series. And she has talked about how she, at least that's what I've heard, I don't even know if that's true, but from what I've heard, she has talked about that she only wants to keep writing if she feels like there's more to say. And she just wasn't saying anything more in this book, in my opinion. It was the exact same, like literally the exact same plot as the very first Hunger Games book, in my opinion. The exact. So I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. It didn't make me like gain anything new, learn anything new about the story or any political issues that she likes to tackle usually. So I don't know. And I also really like Hamish. And I feel like this book did not do Hamish justice. Like, he deserved a better character for himself, I guess. Like, this just didn't feel like Hamish to me personally. But I don't know. I've only heard people love it and cry about it, so I don't really know where I went wrong, but I feel like I must be the one in the wrong here. So yeah, so sorry about that one. Then another one that I'm kind of sad about is The Dark That Hides Us. This is the second book in this series. And I enjoyed the first one a lot. It wasn't one of my favorites, but I just enjoyed it. I feel like it's a little like Percy Jackson. So if you like that, I enjoyed that, but I feel like I probably would have liked it even more when I was 14, which is why I'm saying I didn't fully love it. Like, it was still good, but I think I might not be the target audience anymore, which I'm very sad about, but it's fine. And I didn't really enjoy the second book because it was basically a war book. Like, the whole book, we were in one battle at a war, like just one battle, not even a whole war where we have a battle and then we have to talk about it and talk strategy and all of that. No. We were literally just in this one battle, the whole damn book. And I don't really love war books anyway, so it just wasn't for me. Now onto the new releases that I haven't yet read, but that I want to read. So I think Our Infinite Fates came out this year. I kind of want to read that, although I have heard mixed reviews, but I'm just intrigued and I want to know for myself. Then I also want to read Rebel Witch, which is the sequel to Heartless Hunter or Crimson Moth, although I'm not even 100% sure I want to read it because I've also heard mixed things about that, but I kind of do want to read it just so I know. I don't know. I kind of want to know how this evolves, this plot, I guess. Then The Favorites, I also want to read that. Oh, and also, what is it called? First Time Caller. I also want to read that. I was thinking about reading that for the romance video, I guess, that I did, where I started to read romance. But I felt like it might be more of a book that you should read when you've already read a little bit more romance. So I thought I would wait a little bit more. So yeah, those are the ones. Now let's talk about the most anticipated releases for the second half of the year, because genuinely this year is crazy book-wise to me. Like, last year, I feel like there were maybe 3, 4 books that I was anticipating that were coming out, and this year there are so many. So obviously, like I said, I'm a V. Schwab girly. I want to read Bury Our Bones, although I have also heard mixed reviews, so I don't know yet. But I don't even enjoy getting reviews before. So I'm kind of annoyed that I've already seen so much about it, even though it's not out yet, because I would like to go into it with like a blank slate, without knowing anyone's views on anything. Because I feel like I've already built a little bit of an opinion about it, even though I haven't even read it yet. It's not even out yet. And that's annoying me a little bit that people talk about the books before they're out. That's so stupid. Like, it's not their fault that they got to read it before it came out. But yeah, I don't know. Then also another book that's coming out this year is Soul of Shadows. And supposedly this is like Vampire Diaries. So I'm hoping I'm gonna devour it like the Vampire Diaries, but I have read other books of the author, and I feel like she has written this dynamic before of like an Elena and a Stefan and a Damon, and I personally didn't think it was like Vampire Diaries. The brothers were just not cool enough in my opinion. Like they were just nothing compared to Stefan and Damon, so I don't know. But we'll see how she does it with this book, because it's also, I think, more adult. The other one was more YA, probably, I think. So I don't know. I'm intrigued. Then I also want to read Catabasis. I feel like those are just like the typical books that everyone's been wanting to read lately. And then also, I've mentioned it a little bit before, the second book of Book of Night. I don't even know, is it called Thief of Night or something? I'm not sure, but it's coming out, I think, in September. And I'm so excited because, like I said, the world building was so good in this book. In the first one, I thought it was so interesting. And I'm just so intrigued to get back into this world, learn more about this world. So, yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm very excited for that. So, I would say definitely my favorite new author that I've learned in this year is Sanderson. I know I'm very late to the train. Like, I know everyone else has known Sanderson is a great fantasy writer. I just found out, okay? But I'm here now and I'm excited to get more into it. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see just more of his worlds, more of his magic systems, because like I said, so far I've really enjoyed the ones I've read, and I'm so intrigued to see what other magic type things he has thought of, because I just really like books that have like a new twist on things. I don't know, because lately I feel like a lot of the books that I've been reading felt kind of similar, especially last year. I didn't have as great of a reading year last year as so far I have this year. So I don't know, a lot just felt very similar and I just didn't love that. So I'm intrigued to read more Sanderson. Okay, now I just want to show you a book that I've bought this year that I think is very pretty, because I don't think I'm gonna have a chance to talk about it in another video. So I'm gonna get it. Wait a second. And it's this book. It's just like a bunch of different Emily Dickinson poems. And I really like her poems personally. And I just thought it was so pretty. And it was expensive. But I just couldn't not buy it, because I don't really buy that much books anyways, because my apartment is so tiny. I don't really have much space. So I'm very selective with the books that I buy. And I usually try to always read books in the library and only buy a book once I've actually maybe already read it and already know I liked it. Or if I just know I'm gonna like it because my friends, for example, that know me very well tell me that I'm gonna like it. So with this one, I knew I was gonna like it because it's literally selected poems of a poet I like a lot, and it's so pretty, and I like that. It also has like gold sprayed edges, and look, from the inside is also so pretty. So yeah, and I'm probably not going to talk about this in another video, because I usually talk about actual books that I finish and once I finish them. So I thought this would be my only chance. So here we are, and I'm showing it again. Okay. Okay, so I thought to end the video, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the books I want to read, like books I need to read by the end of the year. And I actually don't know why I put this on here, because genuinely I I feel like I've talked about this a lot already, but I am such a mood reader, so I genuinely usually just end a book and then pick up whatever. Like, I don't really think about it beforehand. I just pick up whatever I'm in the mood for next, because it could be anything, honestly. Like, it could be fantasy, like I said, it could be romance, which I never gravitate towards, but for some reason at the beginning of this month, I was like, oh, I'm gonna read romance for a week. Don't know where it came from. It was like completely impulsive and I didn't really plan on it. So sometimes I just want to read a classic randomly. I don't know. Sometimes I want to read like a bad romantasy book, even if it's bad. Sometimes I just feel like I need that in the moment. So I don't know. It's just, I don't really plan what my next reads are gonna be usually. But I do have some books that I would like to read this year. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen, but like, we can talk about it. So the first one is One Dark Window, because I just talked about romantasy. I just thought about that. And that's because I've heard it's a romantasy book, but one where people say that it still has a lot of plot. Because I feel like with a lot of romantasy books, the romance tends to be the focus, and the plot, like the fantasy plot, kind of doesn't really evolve at all throughout the book. And I've heard with this one that it's actually one where the plot is supposed to be good. I did start it a few months ago though, and I kind of DNF'd it, but I think I was also just not in the right headspace at that moment, so I'm gonna try again. I wanna try again. Let's say it like that. Let's see if I'm gonna, but I really wanna. And I'm also, like I said, right now I'm reading a romantasy book that I'm really enjoying, and it's called, oh my god, what is it called? The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And I've heard these two being compared to each other. Like they are both supposedly good romantasy books. So I don't know. So far I'm liking this one, so maybe I'm gonna give One Dark Window another try. Then I also want to read Blood Over Brighthaven. I don't even know if that came out this year. If that's also just like another new release that I haven't read yet, but yeah, I've just heard a lot of people talk about it, so I kind of want to read it. Then I also want to read a book called A Harvest of Hearts. I also don't know if this came out this year, but I've just heard that it's very much like Ghibli type vibes. And I love that. For me, any book that has a Ghibli vibe, I want to read it, and usually I like it. So, I don't know, this type of books, that's usually exactly what I really enjoy. Like, I think this is my favorite type of genre. My favorite type of genre is just Ghibli. And so I'm just very intrigued. And also, on the same note, A River Enchanted, I think that's also supposed to be like very whimsical, magical, Ghibli-esque. So I also really want to read that. And for the last one, wait, I have that. Okay, the last book I've been wanting to read for so long. Um, and it's this one, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. I don't even know, I feel like I bought this book the year it came out, so like 2018, 19. Yes, it came out in 2019, and I think that is when I bought it, maybe 2020. So I have had this book for a long time. It's genuinely dusty. Like there's dust on it. I feel so bad. I have started it before, but I feel like maybe back then I was a little bit too young. Not because I was like not getting it or something, but I think the writing is just very poetic. I mean, we know Ocean Wong is very poetic, and so I don't know, I just wasn't able to get into it as much back then. And I haven't really started it again since then. So I feel like if I'm gonna start it now, I would actually enjoy it more. And since another book by him is coming out, I think also this year, maybe next year, I feel like I need to read the first one. Like, that's his first novel. Like, I gotta read it. That's where I'm at right now. Those are the books that I maybe will be reading this year at the end of the year. Oh my gosh, maybe it's gonna be fun at the end of the year to see if I have actually read these books, because like I said, I don't really give myself a specific TBR usually, because I know I'm just gonna read whatever I want to read. But maybe let's see at the end of the year if I did read these books that I just talked about, because it's also not that many. Like, I can do that, 4 books or 5. I can do that, right? So yeah, thank you so much for being here for my mid-year book ramble, I guess. Mid-year book check-in. I don't know how to call it. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the books that I've been reading this year, because like I said, so far for me it has been such a good reading year. I'm so surprised and I'm really happy about it. I hope it stays that way, because last year, I mean, I also read some great books, but I also read some questionable books, to be honest. So I'm very happy how it's going right now. And like I said, hoping it's gonna stay that way. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed these books. Maybe you've already read them. Maybe you've gotten some recommendations now. And yeah, hope you have a great day. Bye!